We're in the midst of our January thaw, but let's take a look at what we can expect as we round out January and kick off the month of February. It's meteorologist Joe Martucci. Thanks for watching this episode of Snow Search.
I'm meteorologist Sean Sublette, along with my weather brother there, Joe Martucci. This is your first time joining us on Snow Search. We do this every Wednesday. Basically, we look longer term at snow and cold threats for next week. So in this case, January 29th, it's a broad look at what the weather pattern may or may not be doing in this kind of 7, 10, 14-day time frame, really focusing on the areas from the Empire State to the Tar Heel State. So, Joe, let's go through some climatology first and take a look at what's the snowiest day on average to this area.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for this map. I love seeing when we peak at certain things, whether it's temperature, rain, or in this case, snow. So you'll look from Buffalo down to Greensboro, North Carolina. We picked out 4 locations. And what you can see is that all these are in January, and really all of these are in the second half of January. I know Greensboro, you see January 7th, but it also has the 30th as well. And what that's saying is we're at the peak. Once we go into February, it's a decline. Granted, it's a slow decline, but it's still a decline here. And much like once we get to mid-September and hurricane season, where you can say, well, at least we can see the end. It's still out there, but we can see the end. If you don't like snow, you can at least say once we get past next week is that the end is there. It's still a while, but the end is there. So let's take a look at our indexes. We do this every week. It's critical to what kind of forecast we're going to be talking about as we go forward in time. We look at the North Atlantic Index, the NAO, and it is still positive as we go into next week. That tells us, hey, we're going to be on average at or above seasonable levels. And when storms come through, they're going to be fairly weak and fairly quick to move through. We go to the Arctic oscillation. Positive means the same thing here, and that's exactly what we're going to see. It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride there. It actually dips down early next week and then goes back up towards the end of next week. And then we have the Pacific North American Index. But before we get there, I want you to just take a look at the AO at the end of the graphic here. Notice as it dives negative as we get deeper into February. We'll talk about that at the end of this show. And then here is the PNA. We stay still neutral. In fact, it might be a little positive, and that can draw in some colder air, but overall, I'd say it's a relatively neutral pattern here. Sean, take us through what our friends at the Climate Prediction Center are predicting as we go into the middle and later part of next week.
Yeah, with all of those oscillations in mind, they really point to this idea of the temperatures at, if not significantly above normal for this medium range period. So let's say a week from today, the 31st of January, Wednesday, until Tuesday, the 6th of February. Doesn't mean every day is 10 odd degrees above normal, but over that 6-7 day period, most of the time, the temperatures are going to be above normal. In fact, farther toward the Great Lakes, likely much above normal. It does not look like any true cold air is coming back into the eastern third of the United States anytime for probably a couple of weeks. We see that play out in the jet stream pattern. Take us through that one, Joe.
Yeah. So let's take a look at what we have going on here. So you see that bigger L with those purples up near Greenland. That's like the polar vortex. You can consider it that way there, the tropospheric polar vortex. That's going to pretty much stay steady as we go through next week. But pay attention to this smaller low pressure system in the northeast and parts of the mid-Atlantic. This is for January 29th. This is associated with the storm system that will pretty much bring rain to our area as we go into Sunday and early Monday. If you see snow, it's brief. It's in the higher elevations or upstate New York. As we go forward in time, that area of low pressure and the trough associated with it moves offshore. And you see those cooler colors for the first half of the week, but some, let's say, more moderate colors for the second half of the week. So what that's saying is first half of next week, generally looking to be at or just below seasonable temperatures. So you can think in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and New York, 30s and 40s for highs. Once you get down to Virginia, Sean's neck of the woods, in North Carolina, 40s and 50s for highs. And then as we go into the second part of the week, we get some of these more moderate colors to come in. And actually, if you look towards the Great Plains, you see some of those yellows. That's a ridge of high pressure. And that will be moving our way, especially as we get towards next weekend and into the following week. So my thought would be the first half of the week, at or just below average. The second half of the week, at or just above average. And then we really turn on the jets and go back up in the temperature department as we go into next weekend, our first full weekend in February. Sean, take us into what we can expect with the later part of next week, as we could see, I don't want to say could, but we are going to see some kind of mini storm system with that.
Yeah, there's going to be something that dives down from the northwest, we expect. Not a classical kind of nor'easter storm, but something that comes from the northwestern side in that storm track. And not exactly a classical Alberta clipper either, but something that's in that family. So some light snow is likely for the interior of Pennsylvania, the high terrain of Jersey, and most of upstate New York. We think a good part of upstate New York, even back to Buffalo. But it's going to be a quick mover, and farther south, it would probably just be some light rain for AC down through Baltimore, DC, Roanoke, Richmond, and probably misses Carolina entirely. Once that system does kick out, that's when we're going to see another big surge of that warmer air, as you alluded to. And then, just for fun, we think a little bit later down the road, at what the weather pattern might look like. This is from the ECMWF, or what's called the European. And they run the model out way, way, way into advance. And we're not looking for anything specific here, but there's been a lot of buzz the last few days that winter's not over. There's some cold coming. And there's been a very consistent signal in this model for several days that there's going to be big ridging offshore in the Atlantic, which would allow a couple of cold systems to kind of dive in from Canada, maybe a couple of times during the middle of February. So the temperature pattern or outlook for about Monday the 12th through Sunday the 18th of February suggests more than likely it's going to be colder than normal for most of the East Coast and back down toward the Gulf Coast. So I know this is something you've been watching as well, Joe, with this idea. Is it the potential for a President's Day storm? We'll see.
Yes.
But, that's one of the things that's one of the items or ingredients we kind of want to see this far in advance first. So we'll see how this plays out. So wrapping up, warmer than normal for most of next week. We do have some snow for the interior of Pennsylvania toward around, of all times, Groundhog Day. That would be funny if there's snow falling at Punxsutawney that morning. That would be funny.
That would be.
And that's certainly a legitimate option right now. But winter clearly is far from over. We're recording this now on Wednesday, the 24th. It's 70 outside here in Richmond. We got 2 more pretty warm days ahead of us.
We're getting there tomorrow. We're getting that's 70, but 60. We're getting 60 tomorrow.
Yeah. So, and it's almost humid. So what are you searching for outside of just some snow, Joe? I have a hunch I know what you're searching for, but tell the good folks what you're searching for.
I'm searching for you, Sean. Is that what you were thinking?
No, I thought the Ravens. Ravens guy.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about the Ravens, but I'm searching for you, Sean, because next week you and I are making the Snow Search in-person reunification. We are both going to be at the American Meteorological Society's annual conference. It's like I don't know. It's like weather paradise for a whole week. Weather. A couple thousand people will be there. Sean and I will be there. We haven't seen each other since June of 2022. We are going to see each other in the flesh. We might even do it in the flesh Snow Search with you guys.
Oh, we got to do that.
We got to do that. We're doing it next Wednesday.
It.
We don't know where we're doing it. Somewhere in Baltimore, we will be doing
it. It's a big convention center. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. And we're there to give a talk about what we're doing with Lee Enterprises, the parent company of the news website you're watching this on, where we do Snow Search and Hurricane Hunt and our Across the Sky podcast and so many other things. So I am looking forward to seeing you, my friend. And yes, I am looking forward to being in Baltimore for the Baltimore Ravens' first AFC championship game in the city since 1971. I was not alive then, but since 1971. And
Colts, Baltimore Colts.
The Baltimore Colts. And if I'm lucky, I might even get in the stadium. So if you know anybody that's selling a ticket to the Ravens game, maybe under $250, let me know.
I'm glad you
What
know
are you
your
searching
limits,
for,
buddy.
Sean?
So 2 things. 1, a parking spot in Baltimore getting up there.
That is
okay.
True.
And 2, let's just say, wouldn't it be cool, because it's Kansas City that they're playing against, Taylor Swift just happens to wander into the Baltimore Convention Center.
Might be.
Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened.
She did write a song called The Outside once. And, outside weather, I mean, pretty much locked in at that point. She could be a good podcast guest, Sean. You think she would be a good podcast guest?
My daughter's been a Swiftie for a long, long time. And I would love to get a picture with Taylor Swift and send that to my daughter just to have her geek out. But that's another story for
You'll have to come in the stadium with me, Sean. Maybe we can get 2 tickets.
We'll see. We'll see if the rain is done by then, which we think it will be for that storm this coming Sunday. So we'll see. We'll see. But it should be a heck of a game. It's going to be some kind of party Sunday in Baltimore.
It's going to be a huge party. And if you know Baltimore, everything's downtown in terms of the stadium, the convention center. It's all in that one place. But all right, let's wrap it up here.
I'm going to be a Phillips crab cake while I'm there too. You better count on that.
That's true. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's a classic when you're in Baltimore. All right, let's wrap it up here. That's what we have for this edition of Snow Search. We will be back with you next Wednesday in Baltimore doing this in person. We're looking forward to that. For Sean Sublette, I'm Joe Martucci. Enjoy, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.